Welcome back to Character Camp. This is a tutorial series all about helping you create your own original characters in Procreate. And today's video, we're going to be developing our character's face and facial features. So this is going to be a really fun one. Character Camp is a part of the Making Art Everyday challenge. So this is a series of daily drawing prompts, tutorials, resources, motivational emails, and a supportive community, all with the goal of helping you overcome your creative fears and establish a daily art making practice. Each month we do a theme, and we've done lots of different things like food and plants and animals and like fun little extra challenges and stuff. But this month's theme is characters, and that's why we're doing Character Camp. So this is a great thing to join in if you just want to learn how to draw better, because it gets you in the habit of drawing more and drawing a variety of things. So I highly recommend joining in with that. Okay, so for Character Camp, we've been, this week, we're working on progressively building a character. So we're starting out by creating a character profile where we define everything about our character, like from how they look to what they love to do and their personality and their background and all that kind of stuff. Then we designed the character's clothing, then the accessories for the character, so whether it's things they carry, things they wear, like little extra things. And then the last video, we worked on developing our character's hair, and we did a bunch of different hairstyles, and then we picked one to use for the character. And today we're going to be working on the character's face. So I'm really excited about that. And before we jump in, I just want to show you some of the work that we've done so far. So this is my character. So the character I came up with to use as an example in this series, her name is Dolores. Her nickname's Lola. She's a child, about 8 years old. She loves climbing trees. She's really adventurous, but also very observant. And she likes discovering new things, playing the ukulele. So I have a whole profile all about her, and you can get a copy of this template for yourself so you can fill it out for your character. So this is what we've done so far for Dolores. These are the clothes that I came up for her. These are her accessories. Of course, we got her little ukulele, something to take notes, like something to carry all her little discoveries in. She loves taking pictures. And then yesterday we did her hair, which she has pink, short, wavy hair. And this is the hairstyle that I came up with for that. So now we're going to be working on Dolores's face. So in my profile, I want to look for the things that help me decide what her face might look like. And if you are not making up a character from scratch, you might be working from like a text, like a story you're illustrating, in which case you want to look for clues in the text about like to define all of these things. But what I defined are her hair. Well, first of all, she's a child, so she's about 8 years old, I decided. So that's important for her facial proportions. She's got green eyes, she's got a medium skin tone, and she has freckles, and she's missing a tooth. So those are kind of all the things that I know about this character's face. And that's what I'm going to use as I move forward. So what I want to show you next, and I'm just going to tell you what we're going to be doing today. We're going to basically be brainstorming a lot of different ways to draw eyes, nose, mouth, and then we're going to be brainstorming different combinations of those. And all of this is with the goal of helping you find that kind of right combination of features that's perfect for your character, that feels like your style. So what we're going to be doing, like I said, is brainstorming a lot of different features. And this is very much what we do in the series that I have called People Skills, where you learn how to draw eyes, nose, mouth, ears, so on and so forth through the whole body. So I highly recommend checking out that series. I'm going to show you the brainstorms I did for that series, and that's kind of what we're going to be doing today, but not quite as many. So this was just like a brainstorm of different eye shapes, different styles, and things like that I made when I was working on that series. This is like a bunch of different noses, mouths, and ears. I had a lot of, I don't know why, but like, I had a lot of fun with the ears. They're really fun to draw for me. So real quick, I'm just going to show you what that series looks like. You can find it under tutorials. And here it is right here, People Skills. So I highly, highly recommend watching some of these face videos. And that's really going to help you learn about like what makes an eye look like an eye and a nose look like a nose, so that you can manipulate those features and stylize it and make it you look the way that you want it to look. Each lesson has a video tutorial, so you can watch the video, and it goes over all those different elements, like you can draw an eye as simple as a dot or as complicated with all the shading and little details and everything in between. So definitely recommend checking that out. And let me see, I think we're ready to draw. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get to it. All right, I'm gonna open up Procreate. I am going to create a new canvas. This week I've been using like what I consider to be a medium resolution canvas, 3,500 pixels by 2,800. So I'm gonna open that up, and I'm just gonna start by sketching. I'm gonna go ahead and choose like a medium gray, maybe a little darker. And the brush that I like to use for sketching is from my pencil box set, just Bardot pencil. Of course, you can use any of the built-in Procreate brushes. They have a bunch of pencil brushes. I just like the way mine works, so I'm gonna use that. So I would just start by drawing whatever like comes to you, just like when you draw an eye. Like for me, I often draw eyes like big circles, maybe a little further apart with big pupils. Like this is kind of my default eye right now, because I've spent time kind of doing all that work with people skills and figuring out what I like to do. So whenever I draw a character, this is kind of what I default to, is just like big circle eyes, big pupils, very simple. But you're gonna wanna just use what you know about what an eye looks like and just try and draw that. So maybe you can do like an oval shape. Maybe I can actually, this is the big pupil, but then this is the iris where the color would be. I might wanna have some lashes on her. And actually I'm gonna practice drawing both eyes at the same time. And one thing to know about eyes and proportions, oops, sounds not that similar. It's hard to get them both identical, I will say, but it's just a sketch, so it's okay. The space between eyes is about the width of one eye. So when you're spacing out, even just your sketches, they might look a little weird if you put them like really, really close or like really far away. So just something to keep in mind. Let's see, I can also add like a little line there, and that would be for the eyelid. Maybe I'll try not connecting the lines. This one can be a little bit lighter, like that. And then I'm really into really big eyes, like really big, the pupil part. Not even having an iris sometimes, although I do want her eye color to show, so I probably won't end up doing it like that. I think these eyes are going the wrong way, like one's going that way and one's going that way. Again, it's really just a sketch. It doesn't matter too much. It's just kind of getting the ideas down on paper. So let's see what else we can do. We can do kind of like a tall shape, and it's less curved down on the bottom. And then maybe I'll do one a little smaller. That way her iris shows and I can show her eye color. Let's see. There we go. I can even tilt my pencil. It works just like a real pencil, so I can tilt it and kind of shade in the middle so I can see that extra value, because it really does make a difference versus it just like being white in there. And I could even add some extra thickness on the side. That kind of gives the impression of eyelashes and also kind of makes it look a little more feminine, although I don't want her to look too adult, because this kind of is also reminiscent of like eyeliner, and she's only 8 years old, so I don't want her to look too adult, but that's an option that I could do. I could also add the line on top if I wanted for her eyelid. There we go. And then if you start to run out of ideas, then you want to go ahead and start looking for some reference photos. And just looking at a photo, I wouldn't even say photos. Looking at a photo is probably not going to do it because the photos are going to look like real eyes. So in that case, I would probably go to a search engine like Pinterest for inspiration. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up in the split screen view so I can have Pinterest here on the side. I'm going to go ahead and drag this little gray bar up from the bottom. It's finicky sometimes. And then I'm going to grab Pinterest and I'm going to pull that up. And then I'm going to shrink it down so it's on the right side. And I actually will show you through let me show you back on the people skills page, because I actually have Pinterest boards for each of these facial features. So I have one that has a bunch of eyes in it, nose, mouth, and all of those. So I'm going to go to eyes, go to the lesson, and you'll find the Pinterest board down at the bottom right here. And there we go. Now here I've got a bunch of like cartoon stylized eyes that I can look at, and I can try like different kinds. Like this one just kind of popped out to me, which is a little bit similar to that, but you know, a little bit different. So it's got like a big thing there, which maybe again is too much for my little girl character, because that looks like really thick eyelashes or something. And then little pupil looks very surprised. And some of these eyes will have kind of expressions tied into them based on how you draw them. And we're not going to worry about expressions right now, which is like the emotions of the features. So you guys following me? We're not going to worry about that just yet. We're just kind of getting a neutral expression. So kind of like this oblong shape on that one. So I'm going to try something like that. Actually, it's two eyes, but I kind of like, I'll try. I don't usually do like oval eyes. Like I said, I usually do big circles. So it's good to experiment and kind of play around with different, maybe I'll make it facing forward. And generally when the eye is at a neutral gaze, I guess you would say, like it's not being expressive, it's just kind of neutral, part of the pupil is covered, or sorry, part of the iris is covered. So that's why it's usually like hiding behind where the eyelids and the lower lid and the upper lid and the lower lid would be. And a lot of times the whole iris, or pupil, pardon me, is showing. There we go. And then maybe I'll add, I could do her lashes like little straight lines. I could do them as curved lines. There's lots of options. I could do them very full. I could just do a couple. Like there's lots and lots and lots of different options that you could do. Maybe I'll do a few on the bottom even, just little lines like that. And I kind of like it having the little lid. Oh, maybe I'll leave it off for this one. Let's see what else we can do.
Real quick, what canvas size are you on today?
Yeah, this one I think it was 30. Oops. You can always check your canvas size by going to the wrench icon and then canvas. So that's the actions menu, canvas information. And if you go to dimensions, it's 3500 by 2800. But just work in a size that's comfortable for you. These are meant to be sketches and exercises, so having it like super high resolution, like it doesn't really matter too much. I don't plan on like printing it out. So yeah, it's fine. Some other things I can play around with is something I think won't work, but I'll try it anyway. So maybe like an almond eye with kind of a squarish like pupil shape. You know, it might not seem like it would work, but it could be interesting, and it could give your character that extra character, you know, extra little bit of personality beyond what you'd first expect. And that's why it's also good, I kind of mentioned this in the last video, it's good not to go with your first idea always. It's good to kind of experiment and go beyond the first idea, because then you're going to create something that's unexpected and more unique than, you know, the first idea you come up with. Let's do, maybe we'll try some more circles, and then we'll darken the tops a little bit. There are just so many different possibilities. So this is a completely different look. If the pupils are smaller, kind of makes the character look a little bit older, especially if I added like little lines there for wrinkles. Maybe I'll do little lashes there. I do another one with circles. And I can add eyelids over the top like that. That's an idea. That kind of makes it look a little tired. Like each eye that you draw is going to have its own kind of personality too. So you want to figure out what's a good personality, you know, for your character. Let's try maybe a more oval shaped eye that's kind of shaped that way. Because these are, you know, cartoon characters. They're stylized. They can not look super realistic. And maybe I'll not even show that part of it. Let me erase this. And then we can just have the middle of it like that. And maybe we'll also include, I don't know, just playing around, seeing what works. Not everything is gonna work. Kind of like this big oblong, or not oblong, but like a big fat oval kind of shape. And then you could do like that. I'm really into having big eyes, and because my character is young, the eyes on a younger person do look a lot bigger, so especially in proportion to the face. And we are going to be talking about like how to draw characters at different ages towards the end of the month, so something to look forward to. Maybe some like little teeny lashes. Could be interesting. I'm gonna do a couple more and then kind of move on. Also, I could just do eyes like this, which are just like little dots, you know. That's like a really simple face, but it totally works for like a character. You could do something like that. But one thing to keep in mind is like how much you can manipulate these eyes to make them more expressive. You don't have to worry about it right now, but that is something to consider, you know, when you're thinking about what the character's eyes are gonna look like. How about something kind of like that? Kind of looks a little mischievous. I don't know if that's quite her personality. She's not really mischievous. She's very curious. Maybe some bottom lashes. As far as inspiration goes, you can also go to, I created a board in the Bardot brush Pinterest page called Character Inspiration. And I have one for humans, which we're working on, you know, this week, and then animals and inanimate objects. So you can look and see what other artists have done as far as like the way that they depict eyes. And, you know, it's definitely okay to be inspired by other artists. You just don't want to fall into, you know, copying every single feature exactly and like completely copying their entire style. But it is okay to be inspired and, you know, look at a picture and decide like, oh, I like the way they do those eyes, and maybe I'll combine it with the way that I do noses and the way I do mouths, or, you know, combining different little pieces. I think that's okay. So like, see, I like these big, these big wide eyes, but these, I like hers. They're kind of like tilted in a little bit. Maybe I'll do one more eyes.
Can you draw closed eyes? We've gotten a question for.
You know how I usually draw closed eyes? I draw them a lot when I'm making like stylized artwork. Like, I don't know, not a character, but just like a thing that has a face. I'll do that in just a second. Those are kind of cute. I like that. And then she kind of has it thicker on the top. So if I was drawing closed eyes, literally, they look like this. Sometimes with lashes, sometimes not. But you just imagine like, and observe actual photos of closed eyes. It's really just where the eyes are closed, and you can maybe see a hint of the shape of the eyeball, like where that crease is for the eyelid, and you could maybe even see some definition down there. And then of course the eyelashes would be down because they're closed. And you can continue on and add more details and things like that, but I keep it really simple. If I was closing eyes, I just like do a line like that, like a smiley face kind of line. Okay, so what I recommend for you is to keep going and keep trying different styles of eyes. Like I would fill up a whole page of eyes and just find the ones that feel right for you. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to working on noses and mouths over here on the side. So let's go ahead and do that. So for noses, I don't like to make them too crazy. Like my default nose is just kind of like that. That's kind of like my default like cartoon nose. So I could do it like that, but like I want to kind of experiment and maybe play with some other ways to do it. I could do it like that. I could show the like nostril even like a little bit like that. I could make it stick up a little bit more. Kind of maybe like that. I could have her nose kind of like pointed up so you can kind of see the nostrils even. So it's kind of like a nose that sticks up, which my nose actually does a little bit. My nose, like you can see, like I have a ski slope nose. It's kind of like this. It goes up, and it's maybe not that big, but that's kind of what it does. It's not that big though. But you know, let's look at, let me see if I can get to the how to draw people. That's the board. And then there's boards within that, like about noses and all the different ones. So this is good for like some ideas. I don't want her nose to be too much of a feature. Like I kind of want it to just, I could just do something like that. I just want to keep it pretty simple. So I'm probably not going to go too crazy with the noses, but you know, there's another idea. I could have it be like a triangle, like that. I could also do a nose like that, but that kind of feels like a more grown-up nose to me. Let's see if I got any other ideas here. We could do one like that, like very cartoonish. Like here's some good, like really simple noses and like some different ideas to get. And you can see they kind of have they all have different personality. It's like this little like up triangle is kind of cute. I kind of like that actually. So yeah, just experiment and play. Let me see. I can make it a little like that, but a little more rounded, or sticking up a little bit like that. Yeah. So those are some different ideas for noses. And again, play, experiment, see what you like. We're gonna mix and match these kind of in a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to mouths. I'll just pull this mouth up one. So by default, like my style is just to like be really simple. I usually just draw like a little smile like that. You know, very simple, but there's more to it if you want to include the lips, if you want to include like smile lines and things like that. There's different like elements to it. So I'm going to play around with a few different mouth styles. Like I could do a mouth with the little lines like that. I could do big, like full lips like that. Maybe those are a bit too full. She is like a little girl, so I don't want her to make her look like she's wearing lipstick, so I might not make the lips too obvious, but maybe I can, you know, make it like that, something like that. I could add the lines on the side if I want, or I could not do that. I also want to experiment with a mouth that is open because she's got that missing tooth, so I want to be able to see it. So I'm gonna draw just kind of like an open mouth smile like that. I'm gonna add in a row of teeth, just like that. And then I'm even gonna add in like a little bit of that line. So that's representative of her tongue. Like if your mouth's open, you can see the tongue. And then I'll fill this in all dark. There we go. And then she's missing a tooth, so I'm just gonna black out. I imagine it's like one of her front teeth, so I'm just gonna black that out. Now she's got a little missing tooth. I'm gonna like round this off because the, teeth are a little bit round on the sides. So there's a little open mouth, missing tooth, and maybe I'll add some lines right there. So she's got those like little smile lines on the side. I can experiment with different ways to draw the teeth. So let's do maybe a different way. It's kind of trying to get it to be symmetrical. There we go. Maybe the teeth are like spaced farther apart, which actually like a little kid's tooth. I'm thinking of my son right now who's 6 and he just lost his first tooth this year. But all of his little baby teeth are so tiny in his little mouth, so they're all kind of like spaced apart a little bit. They're not like grown-up teeth that are all like close together. So maybe and it might be easier. So these are and these look a little bit goofy because they're rounded, which is totally fine too. I'm gonna draw the missing tooth in its place to begin with, so that I know I have the right amount of space when I get rid of it. So these are definitely like some goofy teeth. So I'll just block this one out. That one's missing. And if your character is goofy, then maybe some goofy teeth are what you want. But if it's a more serious character and they have these kind of goofy teeth, then it might not be right. So there we go. That's pretty cute. I could, if I really wanted to go goofy, I could also draw her teeth showing outside of her mouth, like when her like mouth is closed and it's just grinning, something like that. And maybe it would even be, I would erase part of it away actually, a little bit more. So something like that. That's definitely pretty goofy. Maybe a different shape opening, like more rounded instead of, like I could go really pointed like that and do the teeth and tongue. Missing tooth. I could go really rounded like that. So it's more like a bean shape. I could make the teeth even smaller in the mouth, and that will actually make her mouth look like it's open really wide. Let me color all that in. There's a lot of different things that you can do as you can see. That's interesting, and then we'll black out a little bit of tooth. So that's a different look that you could do. You can of course look at some references over here and get some ideas of teeth or mouth that you could do. Teeth can be challenging, so I usually opt not to do teeth, especially for like a simple character like this, showing all the individual teeth. Sometimes that can be a bit much, so it's like better to simplify it into just a white shape like that. Let's see. Yeah, I probably don't want to go, I wouldn't do something like this because that's too much. It's a little too seductive, I think. I don't know. It's too much lip. It looks too adult. But yeah, I've got some ideas. Even these are some really kind of simple mouths that you could try. Just kind of showing the mouth open, and then there's just some, let me try something like that. Let me see. So just even showing the corners here where the teeth, so that's like all teeth, probably 2 rows of teeth, but we're not showing, you could show the line in between or you could not. That's up to you. You can keep it simple. But when that's in like it doesn't look like much now, but when that's in context and it shows with the nose and everything, that could translate as a mouth. You could even add just a little line down here to show the lip, and you could do like kind of like they're doing here. The lip kind of has that kind of M shape. So you could do something like that. I think it looks good with just that line on the bottom. So there's some ideas for mouths. Again, experiment, play around, see what kind of works for you and what makes sense for your character. And then what I would do is, I'm gonna move this out of the way. I'm gonna take a sip of tea. We don't have any questions or anything, do we, Jeff? We doing pretty good?
Doing really good.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so now that we've got some ideas of different styles and things, I would next experiment with like color and value, and I'm gonna show you what I've done. Last night I did a whole page of brainstorming like this, so I'm gonna show that to you to show you what I've done, and then we'll move on to like putting it all together into a face. So let me hop out of here. Let's see, it's in here. Okay, so this is what I've done with the brainstorming page that I made last night. So basically I made the background gray, so that gives me a nice middle value, so that when I put white, like the whites of the eyes on top of it, they stand out. So now, instead of all of my sketches, like they're all black outlines of the eyes, and that kind of messes with how they're gonna look, you know, in my actual finished piece. This is a good exercise to do, so you can, like, these don't have black outlines, but in my sketch they did, because that's the only way that I could show it on a white piece of paper. So going through and doing a bunch of eyes like this with the whites and the darks and everything like that, I'll show you how to do that on the finished piece. But same thing with the mouse, like practicing the different values and even colors and things like that, before you get into like your skin tone and everything like that. I hope that makes sense. Does anybody have questions about that? I think it'll make more sense once you see this whole video. So that's what I did last night, to kind of just experiment with the values and even a little bit of color. Okay, so let me go back. There we go. Okay, so I'm going back to this. So now I'm gonna move on to mixing and matching and figuring out what's the best style of eyes to use for my character. And probably the easiest way for me to do this would be to have this sheet as a reference to use as I'm working on the faces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the actions menu. I'm going to go to share. My thing's not very responsive today.
Someone was asking, do you draw it with the gray on, or do you... so are you sketching with gray, is what someone was asking.
Well, I sketched it like this to begin with. I'll just show you real quick. This is going to make sense when I do the faces, but I'll just show you real quick what I would do. So you go to your background color, you just set it to gray, and then create a new layer. I put it below my sketch usually. I'll do a couple so you guys can see, since maybe it didn't make a lot of sense. And then I'm going to get like the brush that I'm going to use, which I'm just going to use the detail liner probably for all of this, which is in my gouache paint box. It's just like a nice smooth liner with a little bit of texture. So let's, for example, do this one. So I'm on a new layer, remember? I'm going to draw that eye and fill it in. So this is the white part. Okay, so first I draw the eye shape with white. Then I create a new layer, and I make this layer a clipping mask, and you'll see why in a second. So I'll tap it and I'll hit clipping mask, and that means that anything I draw on this new layer will be within what I've drawn on the layer below it. So I can't draw beyond what I've drawn. And I'll grab hazel color. Maybe kind of like that. It's kind of like a darkish, yellowish kind of color. So now I can draw really easily a circle. Even though it's kind of imaginary, it's going beyond the shape of the eye and fill it in. That's why I like doing a clipping mask. And then what's also cool about the clipping mask is you can independently move that layer. So if you're like, the eye needs to go this way or that way, you can move it around. And then I'll do this one as well. Try to make them symmetrical. Okay, and then I can add the black of the eye. Fill that in. just on the same layer. It's just a sketch, so it's fine. Okay, there we go. And then I would create a third layer, not as a clipping mask, so it's just like a normal layer to add anything that's like a black line over the top if I do want to have line work, lashes. So that's on its own layer. And then I can also, so I have this line, which I wouldn't do in black because that would be like too dark. So what I'll do is I'll select the background color and then I'll just make it a little bit darker, just a little bit, because this line is supposed to be like a subtle, like fold of skin. There you go. So if I turn off the sketch, that's what it would look like if it was rendered in color. So I would recommend going through and doing that for your sheet of eyes, or at least your favorite ones. If you're like, I hate this one, don't even worry about it. But that's what I would recommend doing, and that's kind of the way that I set up my layers when I'm doing eyes. So now, because these pupils are, and irises are on a separate layer, I can, I can move them around. So if I decided I wanted my character to be looking to the side, instead of looking forward, that's really easy to change. So, and then for the noses, I usually just do a shade darker than the background. So I'd go, let's see, let me create a new layer. So I'd kind of just draw them in that way. I do noses really simply, so it's kind of like just lines. You can do them with shading, but I don't know, I usually don't. And then let me show you a mouth too. So I'll do this mouth here. So I'm just gonna create a new set of layers for the mouths. So I usually choose like a really dark red because the mouth is pink inside, but since it's so dark and shadowed in there, it's really dark. And then I'll draw the outline like that, fill it in. And then for the teeth, you can either put them on a new layer or you can put them on a new layer with the clipping mask, or you can just use Alpha Lock on the same layer, which is what I'll do. So I'm gonna swipe to the right with 2 fingers and I'm gonna get white. And then I'm just gonna draw the teeth here like that. And because I have Alpha Lock turned on, it's kind of like a clipping mask where I can't draw beyond where I've already drawn, but it's on the same layer. So that's the difference between clipping mask and Alpha Lock. Alpha Lock's on the same layer, clipping mask is on an independent layer. So I couldn't move these teeth, they're there, like there's no moving them around. If I wanna get rid of some of the teeth, which I do, I'll have to paint over it. So I'm getting that red color, that dark red, and I'm just gonna paint over it like that. Kinda draw that in, which I think is fine. Like I don't really plan on moving the teeth around, so it's fine that they're on their own layer. It's a good way to save in your layer count if you're worried about that. And then I can also really easily add the tongue. So I'm choosing like a lighter pink and I just draw like a little bit like that. And now I can turn Alpha Lock off because I'm gonna add these little lines right here. So I'm gonna swipe to the right with 2 fingers. You can also tap and hit Alpha Lock. And then I'm just gonna choose a shade darker than my background. Like you can imagine the background is your skin tone. I'm just using gray, so we don't have to worry about like an actual skin color right now. But that's representative of your skin tone. There we go. Let me turn my sketch off. And that's what the little mouth would look like if it was on a face. So eyes, nose, and mouth. I just only did a couple of them. So that's what I would do for as many, if you have some that are your favorites, like do that and kind of experiment and see how they would look when they're rendered in full color. I think that'll give you a better idea if that's the feature that you want to use on your final piece. So I hope that makes sense, you guys. I am going to be showing you that process again as we move forward and draw like the whole face. So I'm going to turn off all those colored bits. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back to white for now for our background. That's not white, is it? Nope. Hold on. There we go. That's white. Okay, so Any more questions about that before we move on, Jeff?
Someone was asking about how to draw the deep part of the mouth with like a uvula.
You would only really see that if the mouth was open really wide. So where's my sketch layer? So if somebody was like shouting, this is not the pencil brush I was using. Okay, I'm a stickler for consistency, I guess. So if somebody was really shouting, that's like the mouth is like open, like really wide, or even like, you probably would see it more like this. So then you would see like the first line of teeth, you'd probably see the bottom line of teeth, you'd see the tongue, and then there would be an extra value to see the hole to the throat. So that would be, you know, something like that. So this I'd probably do in black, this I'd do in that dark red, and then of course the like pink tongue color, and then white. So just make it darker than whatever the inside of the, whatever color you choose for the inside of the mouth, you'll want that. That's the hole down to your throat, so that's gonna be really dark. So maybe even really close to black would be good for that. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I'm gonna, like I said, I want to use this as a reference sheet. So I'm going to share it. I'm going to the actions menu, share. I'm just gonna share it as a JPEG. And then I'm gonna just save the image so it's saved to my camera roll. And then I can, I'm just gonna group all these so I can turn them off really easily. And turn this one off. Okay, so now I'm gonna start fresh. You could start on a new canvas if you want. I'm just gonna use the same canvas. And then I'm gonna pull up my Photos app. Oops, that is not what I meant to do. That is what I meant to do, but I don't like it on that side. I'm gonna pull up my Photos app and put it, come on Apple, there we go. Put it on the side, and that way I have these references that I can zoom in independently. Like you could put it on here and like shrink it, and then you'd have to like zoom over here and look and then draw. But I like to have it on a separate screen because you could zoom in independently and look at all your different like ideas. So. Okay, so let's move on. I'm still using my pencil brush. I'm still using that gray color. And now I'm gonna work on putting the facial features together into a face. And I could draw a bunch of circles and put the facial features into there, but I think it would be more useful to me if I draw a bunch of different shapes, because I can experiment with different head shapes. So I'm gonna go ahead and just draw some different like, oops, I'm not on the right layer. Create a new layer. And so we'll do a circle. We could do maybe like a more oblong head. You might have an idea of what your character's head shape is gonna look like. And if you do, that's fine. You can use that and draw a bunch of that. But I think it's also good to play around with different shapes of the head, because something might stand out to you and you might like that better. So maybe we'll do, I don't know, more squarish like that. Maybe we'll do one that's like really long and tall. I don't know, maybe we'll do another circle one. And we'll do one more over here. There we go. Okay, so we've got a bunch of head shapes. And you know, you can even do like a really weird, crazy shape too. You never know what's gonna like speak to you. So the first thing I do when I'm drawing a face is I wanna define the center line. That's where the nose and everything is gonna go, and where it's gonna give me a reference for where to put all the other facial features. So I'll just draw a line down the middle. On all the faces. Okay, and now I want to define a line that goes the opposite direction, so it's going to be horizontal. And for adults, the eyes are about that line that goes this way is where the eyes will be. And for adults, it's about middle middle of the head. But for children, it's going to be lower. Their facial features are lower on their face. Their heads are bigger. So let me go ahead and just put my lines just below center for these kids. And I do have a people skills video tutorial about facial proportions. I'll touch on a few things today, but that's also a really useful one if you want to learn more about facial proportions. And we're really like very simplifying our facial proportions today. Okay, so that's going to give me all the information that I need in order to place my character's facial features. I'm not worried about the hair right now. We did hair yesterday. We're not going to focus on that. We're just going to draw a bunch of bald people, essentially. What I'm going to do now is these are just going to be my templates. So I'm going to actually reduce the opacity of that layer. I'm going to create a layer right above it. Oops, I created two on accident. Okay, a layer right above it. So now I have something to work off as I'm putting down my facial features. So one thing I mentioned about the eyes is that the distance between the eyes are about the width of one eye. That's kind of just like a general rule for facial proportions. So let's maybe do like an almond shaped eye, like that. Maybe we'll do it like the one that are a little bit thicker, kind of a lash line there. Nice big eyes, and a pupil like that. There we go. And then for noses, maybe we'll just start nice and simple and we'll do a nose, I don't know, like that. Like a rounded nose a little bit. We'll do it that way. And then we'll just do really simple mouth to start. There we go. And then a couple other like rules about faces, like the mouth extends to about midway between the eye. Like there's all these different like little rules about faces and things like that. So definitely check out that proportions video. And then I'm also going to add the ears as well. We didn't really do brainstorming on the ears, but I recommend that too. And I have a tutorial for that in people skills. And the ear extends from like about where the eye is to where the nose is. So I usually just place it on this line, just like a little bit right below it, like as a general rule. So that's how I place the ears. And then I'll just kind of define that. There we go. All right, so there's a face. Which she needs eyebrows. Don't forget the brows. There we go. And that's another thing that you can stylize in different ways, and I'll probably do some different kinds of eyebrows here. So, okay, so let's move on to this one. I'm just gonna go ahead and like fill in all of these faces. Maybe we'll do like oblong eyes since this is an oblong face. That could be interesting. Maybe a little like nose that sticks up like that. Maybe we'll do them as nice solid eyes like that. I don't know if I'll do her eye color or not. And maybe little lashes there. And for the mouth, something like that.
As you're doing this, someone was asking, why is it that you don't use the tools to get perfect circles and to make all of this perfect shapes?
That's an awesome question. I don't want it to look perfect. That's the honest answer. I don't want it to look perfect. I want it to look hand-drawn. I want it to have character. I could do that, but then it would look like a computer drew it and not like a human drew it. So there's some, humanizing to this. I love illustration where you can see what the illustrator has done. Like you can see you can kind of just get into their head a little bit, I don't want it to look like a computer did it. So that's my answer for that. And they can be useful. Like if I needed a perfect circle and I wanted to draw, so here, let me show you what it is because some people might not know. You can draw a circle, you can draw a wonky circle. Hold down your pencil, don't let go, and it'll snap to like a more rounded circle. And then if you put a finger down somewhere else on your canvas, it's gonna snap to a perfect circle. So that's how you can get a perfect circle. So even if I did that, I would probably trace over it with a hand-drawn line. So it would be more perfectly circular, but it would still have all these kind of like inconsistencies here. I wouldn't just use the perfect circle, but that's me. You know, that's what I like. So there's a little tip for you. Let's do this one with big eyes. Big round eyes. And then big pupils. And I don't want the pupils to be perfectly centered in, like, especially when I'm doing round circular eyes like this, because that's going to make the person just look very stunned. Actually put them in a little bit to the side, to the center. Obviously not symmetrical, but that's okay. And then maybe some eyebrows, little tiny eyebrows, a couple lashes. I could put some on the bottom. And what kind of nose should I do? Kind of maybe that little triangle nose. That could be interesting, like upside down triangle. Or no, it's not upside down, just a regular triangle. And then maybe like the mouth that's more rounded, kind of like that one. Maybe a little more curvy. And then we've got her teeth, tongue, fill it in. It's like a really cute little expression. And this is definitely a different expression than this, for sure. That could be her, like, neutral expression. Maybe she's, like, always happy. She's just, like, really excited kind of person. So it's kind of up to you how you want to depict this first character. It can have a happy expression. It can have a different expression. It's up to you. Oops. There we go. So there's that little face. We'll do a few more. Maybe, let's see. Maybe we'll do these like shifty little eyes. They're kind of interesting to me. Kind of looking to the side. And little bottom lashes. Maybe, I don't know if I want to do some thicker eyebrows. Something I might experiment with. Kind of hairy, little thick eyebrows. And I'm giving her an expression. She's gonna have a little smirk. Just for fun. You can do whatever you want, you know. And we'll round that out there. So that's definitely a different look. Maybe I'll do some that are, this one's tall, so maybe I'll try tall eyes. Maybe we'll add some, I don't know, I'm just kind of playing right now. I'm not necessarily even copying something I did previously, although doing this definitely helps you be able to experiment more. Long nose with like a little doop. Oops, she looks very like, oh, that's okay. There we go. And if you guys have any questions as I'm kind of drawing this, feel free to throw them up. Just like about what I'm doing, you know, about faces and things like that. And one, let me see, we'll do, oh, I gotta get her ears. Maybe even she could have really big ears. That's something I haven't really been experimenting a lot with, is like the different shapes of ears that I could be doing. She could have really big ears, and that will give her a lot more character. And this is a way to do the facial features. Probably doesn't have as much character as maybe like something like that, but I think it's still really cute and sweet. And it's, again, it's your character. You do what you want. All right, last one. Let's see. What should we do?
Someone was just saying, hey, my expression doesn't feel or doesn't look real. You know.
Like it doesn't feel like an authentic expression. Maybe explain, if you want, whoever's asking that, explain a little bit more what you mean by real. Like that, I could interpret that in different ways. Oh, let's see, this one I want to show the color of the eyes. So we'll do it like that.
Well, and talking about this too, we have a great video on expressions.
We do, yeah. I'll show you guys that. This month, we're not going to be really delving into expressions too much, but if you want to learn more, about expressions, I'll show you that, where to find that people skills video. That would be what we did for week 2, and we have how to do each of these 7 different expressions. So I have this really fun video. This is like probably my favorite video I made that month, about emotions and expressions, and like kind of what the eyes do, what the pupils do, where the eyes look, what the eyebrows do, the mouth, and other things, like how to manipulate each of the different facial features when this emotion is happening. And this is like happy, and this is like really happy, like ecstatic. And I have this whole like table of expressions which go through each of the emotions and like what the eyes do, pupil, eye gaze, brows, mouth, other. So this is very, very helpful and handy when you're wanting to do emotions. So highly recommend checking that out. We want to figure out what the neutral expression is, so that way we can manipulate it when we're ready to do emotions. I hope that makes sense. We'll do like a little nose like that maybe for this one. And then we'll do like a pointed mouth, maybe with a couple lines like that. Maybe her teeth are bigger. That's cute. And then maybe I'm gonna try doing some thicker brows. I think that could be interesting. Cool. And then some ears. I'm gonna do bigger ears. I kind of liked giving this character bigger ears, so maybe there we go. And then something else I forgot to add about my faces here is that my character has freckles. I got the missing tooth, except for this one. Let me add that in real quick. But I didn't add in the freckles, so. And little, unique facial characteristics like this, like freckles, or like maybe if the character has like a little beauty mark or something, a mole, those are gonna give your character more personality. So if you can add in something a little different or unusual or unexpected beyond just like the minimum, that's gonna give your character more personality. I think these freckles make her look so cute. And my character, I also said in my profile that she wears glasses, which I'm not going to work on right now. I'm going to add that in when I do like my finished piece. But yeah, there she is with the freckles. I think those are super cute. I think this one needs some little lashes. So now that I'm doing this and looking at the ones that don't have lashes, I'm like, I really like having lashes. So my character will probably have lashes versus not have lashes.
And you're still using the opaque liner?
Actually, I'm still using the pencil brush.
Okay.
So these are sketches still.
Okay.
But now I'm going to move on, and I'm actually going to color in. I'll probably color in one of these, but I would recommend coloring whichever, like if you have some favorite ones, to color them in so you can get first of all, so you can establish what your skin tone looks like, and then kind of go from there. So this coloring part is really establishing what your skin tone is going to look like. We're not going to worry about hair, like I said. So I'm just going to color in one or maybe two that speak to me. I kind of really like this one here. This one's really interesting too. I like out of these, I like this one, and this one. So I would probably explore those three ideas further. Let's see. Which one should I do? I think I'll start with this one. We'll do this one. And I'll add a neck too. So, okay. So now I'm just gonna do a rough colored in version of this. So I'm gonna reduce the opacity of my sketch layer. I'm also going to, now that I'm gonna move on to working with color, I'm gonna set that sketch layer's blend mode to multiply. That means that it will be easier to see it when it's on top of other colors because I keep my sketch layers on top. Now I'm gonna create a layer above, or sorry, I'm gonna create a layer below all those sketch layers. I actually have two. I have the one with the line and the head shape and then the actual features. I'm gonna use both of those here. Cool. And now this will give you an idea of how I set up my faces with all the layers and things like that. This is how I usually draw faces. So the first thing I do is I draw the head in the skin tone that I'm going to be using, which she has a medium skin tone. I actually imagine her being biracial. Like I am half Mexican and half white, so that's kind of like what the idea I had in my head. So she's gonna have a little bit of a darker skin tone. So and skin tones can be a little tricky. I would definitely experiment and play around with, you know, what looks right to you, and definitely look at reference photos of real people, as well as reference illustrations that other people have done of people with different colored skin tones. So you can find like the right skin tone for your character. So I'm gonna try something like that. Usually most skin tones are somewhere in this range as far as the hue, to from orange to red orange, and then just depends on how much saturation of that color you have and how much lightness or darkness you have. So I'm gonna try this. If it doesn't work, I can always adjust it. So I'm gonna switch now to a different brush. I'm going to go to my gouache paint box, and I'm just gonna use the detail liner for all of this. It's just a good kind of basic brush. It's gonna be very multi-purpose. So, okay, so like I said, we're just gonna draw a bunch of bald people. So we're gonna outline the head. Maybe I'll make my brush a little bigger.
Yeah, and for those that are just joining, we actually did hair yesterday, and what's awesome is what we're doing on Friday. What are we doing on Friday?
Yeah, on Friday we're gonna put it all together. So today I only want us to focus today on the facial features. If you get into adding hair to all these, you're gonna spend way too long on it, and you're not gonna get to experiment with the face as much as you probably would want to. So this whole week is all about doing it piece by piece, little by little. I'm also gonna add the ears. Maybe I'll make them a little bigger because I like those big ears. Yeah, piece by piece, little by little, one thing at a time, focusing on that one thing. And then at the end, we're gonna put it all together. And it's gonna be great because we'll have defined what her clothes look like, what her hair looks like, or him, if it's a male. But the skin color is like, we're gonna have all those things defined. When we put it together, it's gonna come together really well. So that's the idea behind that. So I do the face all in one layer, and then I do the neck on a layer below. So it's behind the head, as it normally would be, behind the chin. That's helpful when we add shading, which I'm not really gonna worry about shading today. We'll worry about that when we put it all together, but sometimes it helps actually if, I'll do it real quick. I just said I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. I turn on Alpha Lock on the next neck layer, and then just add a little, I'm just gonna do some basic shading, just like a little kind of rounded triangular shape. So that separates the chin and the neck. You don't even have to add a neck while you're doing this, but if you want to. Okay, so I've got the face, and now on another layer, I usually start with the eyes, so I'm gonna create a layer for that. And just like we did when we were doing the gray background, we're gonna add in the eyes. So color that in. And then the other one. And then I will create a new layer with a clipping mask. Now her pupils don't extend past where her eye shape is, so it doesn't really matter, but it might. I just usually use that workflow anyways. That's just what I do. So I'm gonna get like a hazel. I'm gonna try it with color. So we've got kind of like a hazel colored eye.
And what brush are you on?
This is the detail liner from Wash Paint Box. Okay, and now I didn't experiment with this, but this could be how her eyes look. They don't have to have the black. They could just be all one color like that. And maybe I'll leave that one like that just for experimentation wise. You don't have to add the black part. That's another choice that you could make. So I'm gonna grab black. I usually try not to go completely black. So like that's kind of the black that I'm choosing. And I created another layer for the details that go on the outside of the eye, which would be like, maybe I'm gonna add a line there and add her little lashes, maybe a smaller brush size for that. And then 2 little lashes down there. And 2 little lashes down there. Okay, so those are her eyes. And now I could make another layer I'll just do a different layer for all the rest of the facial features. So I'll create a new layer. I'll draw her little nose. So whenever I do a nose, and like other things, like if there's wrinkles or skin lines or the definition in the ear, I just choose the base skin color layer, put 1 finger down and select that color, and then just choose a darker, like more saturated, whatever is gonna have enough contrast so that you can see the nose. So might take a little bit of experimentation. I'm actually gonna make my sketch even lighter so it's easier for me to see. So I did that, and I might make it a teeny bit darker. Just a teeny bit. There you go. And then I think that's the only thing that's gonna be that color. Actually, I'll do her ears. I have a way I do ears, which is I do like a kind of a partial C, a little nub there, and then I connect it up. That's how I do ears, and I kind of, like I said, practicing doing ears was like one of my favorite people skills things, but I just stick to the one that I love. So go figure. So there, I've got her ears defined, really simple. And I'll do her mouth. So I'm gonna get like that dark red color that I talked about. Fill in that. There we go, color it all in. And then maybe I'll even erase a little bit. This side got a little out of control. Okay, there. And then I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock. So I'm gonna use that same technique I showed you earlier. Turn on Alpha Lock, grab white, draw in the teeth like that. And then paint out. You can also, if you have Procreate 5 and not the smallest iPad, there's also this color history. If you have the smaller iPad, you might not have that, but that's also another handy thing. There we go. Now she's got her missing tooth. I'll kind of round these edges out a little bit. And then of course she needs eyebrows. My character has pink hair. Of course, pink isn't a natural color, so I imagine that she dyed it. But her natural hair color might be like brown, maybe not too dark brown. My natural hair color is, it's been a long time, like it's dirty blonde. So I'm just gonna choose, I don't know, like a brown for her eyelashes. Oh, I forgot her tongue. Don't forget the tongue. We'll get like a pinkish color. There we go. Okay. And now I'm going to turn Alpha Lock on so I can draw my eyebrows on the same layer. Okay. Maybe, there we go. Okay. And there is, oh, and her little freckles. Freckles, kind of orangey, brown. There we go. Okay, cool. So if I turn off I'm gonna group these two if I turn up my sketch, there's like a little experiment about what my character's face might look like. Looking at it now, I kind of do want her to have the black in the middle of the eyes. I think I would prefer that they be there, so I'm going to add those in as well. So always make sure to tear your sketch off and look at it. That's how you're really going to know what it actually looks like. It makes a difference. Okay. Cool. So there's a little bald girl. I didn't worry about shading. I will add a little bit of shading in the final piece, but this is just going to help me kind of define what the character is going to look like and what facial features that I will choose. Should I do one more? What do you guys say? Should I fill in one more?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm going to drink some tea. See if you guys are down for one more. I will probably go through and finish these all on my own, and I'll post it up on Instagram and stuff, but I'm going to do one more. Yes, 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 yes. Okay.
All right.
Okay. This is the one that's calling out to me here. She's so cute. I didn't think I would like this like big oblong round head, but I love it. I actually love it. So
I love that someone was saying, hey, give me a hairy eyebrow girl.
okay, we can try this one with more, maybe we'll try this one with more bushy eyebrows. I really want to do this girl. This one I like too. And I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably do all of these like after this video, but let's do this one. Okay, so I'm just gonna choose this color because I already have it over here. I'm gonna use the same color. I kind of like this skin tone, and it kind of like, we'll see how it looks with the hair color. I might adjust it if it kind of clashes with the hair color. I could adjust the hair color. I could adjust the skin tone. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so I'm gonna reuse all those same layers that I used. I'm gonna start with this layer with the face, and I'm going to draw in there we go. Okay, fill that in. Great. My lines are a little shaky today. There we go. Add in her big ears. I love these big ears. They're so cute. Definitely do, yeah, like I said, it's good to do beyond what you would normally do. Normally I'd draw all these little ears. I did them all the same, and then this one I did them different. I'm like, oh, I love it. Okay, so we got her face. I'll do her neck. I gotta turn off alpha lock on that layer. There we go. A little neck, a little shadow on the neck, just so there's definition. There we go. Okay, now let's do the eyes. So I'm going to the layer that I have the eyes on, and I'm gonna color those in. And then I'll go to the next layer, and I don't know if I'll do the hazel. Let me just try it with just that, just the black. I mean, if her eye color, her having an eye color, character's eye color isn't crucial, you don't have to have it. Like, I don't know. I can even like just do a quick, let me grab this color.
And we're still on detail liner, right?
Yeah, I'm just using the same brush for the whole thing. Like, will I want some color there? I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it black for now. I can always try. Experiment, experiment, experiment. Okay, let's do the nose on this layer. So I have the nose, the ears, the eyebrows, the mouth, the freckles. They're all on one layer. And I usually don't separate things out onto different layers unless they actually overlap each other, like I do with the eyes. So that's why that's why all that stuff is on one layer, because it doesn't touch. I can still manipulate it because it's not overlapping and stuff. So that's not dark enough. Let's go darker, smaller brush. That's better. Cute. Let's do the mouth. Oh, I didn't even finish her eyes. You kind of want these to taper so they're not just like that. You want them to, and you can taper usually most brushes, a lot of my brushes, in fact, if you draw light with them, they'll taper. And then, so I'm drawing lightly, heavily, lightly, and you'll get like a taper on both ends. And I think I wanted eyelashes. So I'll add a couple eyelashes. Oh, she's so fun. I love her. Okay, I'm gonna do the mouth now. So I'm gonna get like that dark red. Cool. And I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock to do the teeth. Grab white. And if you notice, if you tap, double tap, 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 close to white, it's gonna snap to a pure white value. That actually works in lots of different places on this color wheel. I use it all the time for getting white. Super duper handy. Oops, did I not turn on? Oh, I forgot to turn on Alpha Lock. There we go. Cute. And then I'm gonna paint back in her tooth. Make it rounded on a little bit, just like I did before. She's adorable, I love her. Tongue. Just a little hint of the tongue. Okay, cool. She needs some eyebrows. Turn Alpha Lock off. Get brown. All right, I'll try like the bushier kind of eyebrows. Maybe I'll do a little less saturated. So basically, just like when we do hair, just adding little, I don't know, not straight lines, like a little bit of texture is gonna make it seem like there's more hair, and you can see the individual hairs. And maybe we even have some kind of sticking up that way. I like that. That's cute, I like it. So kind of start with a nice thick brow, and then we'll add some additional texture, some shape. And I'm gonna add some individual little hairs kind of poking out that way. And a couple down here. I wanna make them look symmetrical. And this is where like having a good sketch will be helpful, because I could actually like draw, sketch a good eyebrow here, copy it, flip it over here, and then draw them by hand. So I have a good base so that I can draw them by hand and they'll be symmetrical. Like my sketch is the base. So that's a good little, not a cheat, it's a tool. I don't think there's any such thing as cheating. There's just lots of different tools that you can use when you draw. So we need ears and we need Freckles. She's so cute. You can tell I'm happy with this. Okay, so maybe a little darker. Same way I do like that kind of C shape, the little nub. It has a name. I have them all defined actually in that people skills video. I think that's the tragus. Like there's the concha, there's all kinds of funny little anatomy terms for all these little ear parts.
Are you gonna make me look all this up again so we can chat about ear anatomy? Is that what's gonna go on?
If you want. Okay, let's get some freckles. No, those aren't dark enough. Cool, little freckles. And of course, like I said, she wears glasses, so that's something I'm gonna have to play around with on my final piece, but I'm not gonna worry about it for this one. Oh, she's cute, you guys, I'm happy. Okay, sketch off. Cool. So like we have two like different options now for like how I could possibly create my character. Like these are two different eyes, two different noses. The mouths are pretty similar, but maybe that's like just how I like it, and that's what I'm gravitating to. That's what I want my mouth to look like. So yeah, experiment, color in as many of these as you like. I would even maybe do another sheet which let me turn all this off real quick because I'll show you that. Kind of like we did for the hair. Boop. You can turn off this layer, create a new layer, and then just start sketching over the same face shapes. So that's another thing you can do. Do a whole other page of faces. As much as you want to experiment, I think the more that you experiment, the more fun discoveries that you're going to make. There's definitely a lot of possibilities. There we go. There's my little faces. Yeah, there's my little girls. Cool. Do we have any questions about that before we kind of finish up here? Sip my tea. Well, if you guys have questions, go ahead and throw them up. I'm going to go back to my slides here.
I mean, people are asking for more, which I don't blame you that you guys want some more.
I could probably do this for another like hour or two, like filling all those in, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So, but like I would fill out all of those in a very similar way to what I did with these, but just different eye shapes and different, just be a little bit different.
Yeah, and it's this practice, you guys. It's doing this over and over again is how we all just keep getting better at this.
Yep. All right, cool. Well, yeah, throw up a question if you have it. I just wanted to mention that I love seeing what you guys create. This has been like probably one of the funnest months so far, and we're only like really a few days in. Of making art every day. It's like been like you guys are getting so creative and putting your personality into it, basing your characters off yourself or people that you know, or just something totally imaginary. We did a month earlier this year we did illustrating the alphabet, and you could pick whatever theme you want, and then you did an ABC book of that theme, and that was a really fun one too because you guys brought all your personality into it. It was so cool. But I love seeing what you make. So definitely if you're posting on Instagram, you can tag me, Bardot Brush, at Bardot Brush. I'm also Lisa Bardot is my personal account. Definitely think about joining the Facebook group because there's a lot of really awesome people sharing their work and you can connect with them. So that was on Facebook. It's Making Art Every Day /Bardot Brush. So highly recommend that. Again, this is a part of Making Art Every Day. We have different daily prompts and different themes every month, and there's always some tutorials or resources or something to go along with it, and of course that awesome community that I mentioned. So you can, if you sign up for our newsletter on Bardot Brush, then you'll start getting these weekly emails. They go out on Sunday, and they have all the prompts for the week. So do that. Again, I am Bardot Brush. I make awesome brushes to Procreate and educational content such as this. I love teaching people how to draw, and so we create a lot of stuff around that. And let's see, maybe I can take a couple questions if we had any?
Yeah, someone was asking how do you copy and paste like a group? Like if you have an eye, or how do you do that? So,
you can't. I wish you could. If you guys find things that you want that Procreate doesn't do, they have a forum where you can post up your suggestions. So if you go to their discussion boards, that's actually where they find a lot of ideas. And if they're really popular ideas, then they implement them into the app. The Procreate team are awesome people. I don't think any of them are listening to this, but you guys rock. I've met them. They are super nice, super passionate people. And I love supporting their app. It's awesome. So, another question? Let me look over here.
I'm just trying to see if I've got any. I mean, everyone, first of all, is saying thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. It's fun to do. Like, the reward is getting to see you guys, like, make from the thing I make, you make stuff. And, like, that is so huge. Like, that's my life goal is, like, help people find their creativity and help them be creative. Like, I get so much fulfillment out of that. So thank you guys for being here and joining us and doing it and giving yourself the time to be creative. Like, it's huge because I know we're all busy. Like, I'm busy. You guys are busy. Life is crazy, especially now. So good for you for like taking the time to be creative. I think it's awesome.
All right, well, we cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, we're going to be back again tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to be working on our character's body shape. So we're going to be sketching out some different ideas for proportions and shapes and things like that so we can find the perfect one for our character. So I hope you guys will join us tomorrow. Tomorrow is different time. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Pacific. So not in the morning, it's going to be in the afternoon. So mental note to yourself. That one's going to be at a different time. Of course, we save all of these tutorials. They're available on the Character Camp page. So you can find that. Let me just show it to you real quick on my tutorials page.
And I just posted that link for you guys for Character Camp, so you guys can check this out.
So this is the Character Camp page, and these are the different days. This is the different videos that we've done. So we've done clothing, accessories, hair. I will post up the face video here after it's all done, like doing its YouTube thing. And then of course the other videos, body shape, and then we get to put it all together. So that'll be fun. So yes, tune in tomorrow.
Yeah. And then today, let's make sure that we're, posting everything on Instagram, you guys. We want to see all of your hard work so much. It's just awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We will see you guys tomorrow. Have fun working on your character.